Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, this is Alex Bennett. This is the Ramble. It goes until midnight tonight on the East Coast of the United States. And a big howdy to you. I am not going to put on any interview with anybody tonight. Number one, because I don't have any. I don't know. I planned it badly that way. I don't have any. And on top of that, I'm putting stuff away here. I was watching the debate, and I figured you want to talk about it, so, you know. I just watched it, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Tonight, I almost wasn't going to do the show tonight. Didn't know if I'd be doing the show or not tonight because I've had a tooth missing here, and I'm tired of looking like a Trump voter. So today I had an implant done, where they implant a little thing into your jaw, and then they cover it up again, stitch it up. I got some stitches in there, and it sits there for about 2 months, okay? And then if it looks like it's adhered itself to the bone just right, they will then put what they call an abutment on it, and then they will send out for a replacement tooth. When I'm through, I will have that gap filled. Now, this is going to cost about $3,000, and I'm finding places to get the money from because it's a lot of money to spend on something like this. But I'm doing it for one very particular reason, is that I just don't like that gap in my mouth. And so I want a full set of teeth, at least fake or not, and so I'm going to fill that area up. It's been this way for several years now. Here's what happened, okay? I go to this new dentist that Marjorie has, and she says, oh, well, you have all this insurance. We got to do something about it. Well, I said, I've come to you because I want to do an implant. She says, okay. And she had me meet with her partner who does the implants, and he's checked into it, and he said, yeah, okay, we can do it. But then she says, let's take some x-rays. And she finds one thing. And then she finds another. And then she finds another. And by the end of the year, I've used up all my insurance money, so there's no money left to do the implant. So I then go to the next year, and the same thing happens. Finally, this year, I said, let's do the implant. And she uses up most of my money, but I found some other money. I found out that we have 2 dental plans. Yes. She has one at work they've been paying for all this time, okay, about $1,500 a year. And then we have mine from SAG-AFTRA, which is going to lapse at the end of the year, which is $2,500. So I can use one or the other to, pay it off. So some of it will be taken care of, but I'm still going to have to put out at least $2,000, at least, okay? But I just want to get this filled up. Before, and then I'm going to drop dead. That'll be the next thing that will happen. Okay, so so I wasn't going to do the show tonight because he went and did the implant. Which, by the way, if you ever have to have an implant, I've had the root canal I had a couple of weeks ago was more arduous than this thing. This thing, he just numbed me up really good. One shot really hurt, but he numbed me up really good. And they went in there, did some drilling, and he bore out a hole, and then he screwed this thing in, and then he stitched it up and sent me home. 40 minutes it took him. I was counting. And it was maybe one of the easiest procedures I've had in a long time. I've had this procedure before, but the other doctor I went to gave gas, okay, which kind of, Also, if I talk too fast, I don't know, I'm getting dizzy lately if I talk too fast. I don't know what that's all about. Some kind of fatigue thing or something that has to do with all the radiation and stuff that I had on me. So I think that's what that problem is. So it's one thing or another, and I almost wasn't going to do the show tonight just because I went, I had the flu thing today. I've got a good excuse. But then it's not really bothering me. It's a little, what hurts is all the stuff around it where he had the implements in there and was working on it. But for the most part, it was fine. So then I said, well, I really got to do a show tonight because we've got all these people who are coming on here to be part of the citizen panel because they're going to want to talk about this debate tonight. So let's, if you can, start calling the Zoom address, which is on our GabNet page, gabnet.net. Over in the right-hand column, you see a thing that says, click here to call Zoom, and you just click on that and it'll take you there. And you don't have to even have Zoom in your computer. What did you do? She slammed the door shut on me. Did you hear that? Anyway. Was I being too noisy? I don't know. But anyway, so you can start calling in. In fact, here comes somebody now, and I really don't want to hog it all to myself, because then I'd be kind of like Donald Trump, wouldn't I, if I was hogging it all to myself? Now, let me see here. Here comes Charlie, and here comes Jeff. Okay, let's go to the Zoom panel. Charlie, turn on your camera. There we go. There he is. Hi, Charlie. How are you this evening? And how are you, Jeff? Turn on your microphone. Turn on your microphone. Just click. There we go. See?
There I did.
Yeah, I can tell when your mic's on and when it's not on.
I noticed that.
Yes. Well, let's start with Charlie. Charlie, you watched the debate?
Nope, don't watch debates.
Oh,
Ooh.
Really?
No, they're not debates. They just get up there and make speeches, and I can read about the speeches tomorrow.
This was a debate. Did you watch it, Jeff?
Yes.
Okay.
It was a war.
What was your takeaway?
Well, actually, all I got to say is Trump was an asshole, and he could not shut his mouth.
He couldn't stop being an asshole.
Yeah, and they couldn't tell him to shut up.
I hate to say this when somebody's not here, but did he remind you of somebody tonight?
I didn't think about that until now, but yeah.
I mean, the guy wouldn't shut up. Anytime Biden started talking, he would start interrupting. And finally, Chris Wallace had to take him to task for
Several times.
For it.
And
saying,
it didn't help.
At one point, Chris Wallace said, "Mr. President, would you like to sit here and I'll go up there?" And I think Biden won the election tonight by just doing one thing, saying something to Trump that we've wanted to say to him for years. Will you please shut up?
Yeah.
And referring to him as that clown.
Yeah, he did call him a
I
clown.
mean, he read him the riot act, but he only did it when he deserved it. He didn't do it out of any malice, out of any spite, but out of the fact that, number one, we knew he was going to go after Hunter Biden. We knew that was going to happen. And there's nothing worse than going after somebody's kid,
Yes.
And he, Trump said, well, he was thrown out of the military and blah, blah, blah. And he said, my son had a drug problem, as many Americans do. And he worked on it, and he doesn't have one today. That was the most honest, forthcoming answer I've seen anybody give. But the fact that he even had to drag his son into this, and had to explain that his son was a drug addict, and that's why he had a lot of problems early on in life, was, I think, kind of a heart-wrenching moment. I wouldn't want to be a parent and have to do that, even to become president of the United States. So that's pretty much it. And I felt. How'd you feel that Biden handled himself?
I thought he was pretty good for most of the times. Occasionally, his speech, he would lose a sentence or two before he couldn't get the right word
Well,
out.
that Joe Biden, when he was younger, had a stuttering problem.
Yep.
And he still does, actually. I mean, you always have a stuttering problem. You just learn to work your way around it, and you find methodology and so on for doing your way around it. And that became a little apparent here and there.
Yeah.
But, that doesn't make him any less of a candidate. I mean, just the utter lying on the part of Trump. I mean, when they said to him, they asked him, is it true you only paid $750 in taxes in the first 2 years that you were president? And he said, no, I paid millions. Well, it's just not true. I mean, his companies may have paid millions, but we're talking personal income taxes, all right? And so he lied about that,
Yeah.
He was quite a liar in this whole thing. It was amazing. Let's see here. By the way, is anybody out there who's ready to talk tonight too? Because nobody seems to be calling. Let me see here. We have YouTube. What really? Why does YouTube look differently tonight? Yeah. Okay. YouTube has decided that it wants to give me the dark mode, which I don't really want, but I'm getting it anyway. So that's how it looks tonight. All these companies are changing the way their thing looks, and it's pretty terrible. It's pretty terrible. Alex, you jumped more than Chris Wallace moderating the debate. What does that mean? You jumped more. Says Biden could have nailed specifics much more clearly. Yeah, but you aren't saying Forbin how lousy Trump looked tonight in just being a fatuous bully. Basically, was how he looked. He came off looking very badly. But Alex, you jumped more than Chris Wallace moderating the debate. I have no idea what that means. Makes no sense to me at all. Do you know what he means, Charles?
No, I can't.
By the way, I am maybe putting a moderator on this chat room or doing away with it altogether, because people have been trolling it like crazy. And it's, I think, who was it, Forbin? Was it Patriot, or was it Forbin Colossus the other night, who must have done it
That was American Patriot.
American Patriot did it 100 times. Okay.
His were the only posts.
Yeah. His were the only posts because other people didn't want to join in. Hello, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah. Did you watch the debate?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. What did you think?
I'm sorry?
What did you think?
Well, I thought that even though I still don't plan on voting for either one of them, certainly not Trump, but yeah, Trump sounded desperate, like a cornered animal. Couldn't shut his fucking mouth, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point you're making. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was filibustering.
Oh, yeah.
That indeed he was. He was filibustering, and he was trying. He figured if he kept talking, he could play out the clock. And
he was soundbiting, is what he was doing. I'm going to use that as a verb. He was soundbiting.
Yeah, but
he's a creature of contemporary America.
But for instance, he would not. He couldn't. He was trying to hedge the money thing, the $750 thing, and he was saying, "I paid millions of dollars." Well, no, he didn't pay millions of dollars. Maybe his companies did, although I doubt if they did.
I wish Chris Wallace would have asked him for specifics. When you say million, I don't remember him asking Trump for specifics. When you say millions, sir, what exactly are you referring to? He
Yeah.
never asked him that.
Well,
I don't think he did, unless I'm missing something.
if I were Chris Wallace in that situation, I might be a little reticent to ask something like that, only because I know I'm going to get the dance around. I'm not going to get a straight answer out of him. I mean, Biden said, "Well, are you willing to release your taxes? Come on, release your taxes," and he waltzed around that one. Yes,
Yeah.
Chris. Charlie Wallace.
That's all right. There's worse people you can mistake me for.
Well, I just watched an hour and a half of Chris Wallace.
Yeah.
One of the few times I felt sorry for him. I think the other time I felt sorry for him was when he interviewed Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I wanted to say was that I paid more than $750 in federal income tax on my Social Security alone in 2016, thanks to Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
So I paid more on my Social Security than Trump paid on all his millions of dollars of revenue.
Why do we pay tax on our Social Security?
Because Reagan wanted to make up for the tax cut that he passed in 81.
Yeah, because I mean, I never could understand that one, because isn't that money that's taxed? It's called a job tax or something. What is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be.
Thanks to Ronald Reagan, he validated real-life Gordon geckos, and one of them is our president.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Although you give our president, I think, to begin with, I really think the Republicans should realize this man is ruining their brand. Okay, and he has no respect for the brand. He's no Republican.
What brand, though? To me, it sounds like he's saying a lot of the quiet parts out loud. And I'm also damning the Democratic establishment too. He's saying he's like the John Gotti of American politicians.
Well, if you think, or if you assume that he is that he is the spokesperson for the Republican Party, that he's the representative of the Republican Party in office, that he's ruining their brand. In other words, this is going to come back to bite them in the ass for years.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too.
I want to see Mitch McConnell especially lose a Senate seat. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I want to see him as a permanent minority leader until he retires or dies.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Okay. You got to remember, he's from where? Kentucky?
Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Asking
They
them.
did elect a more progressively minded governor, though, Kentucky instead of.
Well, I mean, all those states are changing, mainly because black people have kind of gotten more of a right to vote than they had before. It's they still make it difficult in some states for blacks to vote, but it's gotten better. Okay. Yeah.
Well, supposedly Amy McGrath is within a few points of McConnell.
Well, I hope so. I would like to see McConnell thrown out of there. I would like to see Lindsey Graham thrown out. It looks like he might be going.
Yeah,
as a
he
matter
might
of
be.
He does too.
fact. Yeah.
But that he is.
Yeah, but
He was begging for money the other night.
was he really?
Yeah.
Son of
At least that's what MSNBC said.
Yeah. So I mean, I wonder what what's going to happen with.
That's not entirely, by the way, Alex, hyperbolic when I say closet queen regarding Lindsey Graham, because there are like some, it's like third-hand sources, so consider it what it is. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it were true. Like, gay prostitutes who claim that they've gone into the specifics with the guy in terms of what he would want them to do, and
look, I'm not going to go and accuse Lindsey Graham of being gay. And the reason I'm not is because what's wrong with being gay?
No, it's wrong with being gay and being homophobic.
Well, I don't know that he's homophobic. What has he done that is homophobic?
As far as I know, he's a member of a political party.
Well, no. What has he personally done that's homophobic? I mean, he may
He
have
opposed gay marriage.
Did he oppose gay marriage?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't
didn't
know.
that.
I'm
I didn't know
straight,
that.
and I'm against straight marriage, for crying out loud. You know.
Thanks.
You
Like
know
I said,
Should I
internally,
leave?
what?
Should I leave?
Yeah, Brian.
no, I said, like I said, and I wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised at all. Internalized homophobia, and I didn't know that specifically, but just the fact that he represents a political party that wants to re-illegalize gay marriage is enough for me to
Is it
say
a
that.
policy of the Republicans to illegalize gay marriage?
I'm sorry.
I've never seen that. There may
I'm
be
come to
individual
understand.
Republicans who've taken that stance, and I would imagine there's some Democrats who've taken that stance.
They want to. They want to. I've come to understand that they want to reincorporate that into the Republican platform, as much as they want to overturn, a pre-existing thing that grants women the right to choose what they can do with their own body. They want to go. They want to revert the clock back. It's not unprecedented for this particular political party to want to do that, and not just in terms of Roe versus Wade, but also in terms of the court deciding on gay marriage.
The one thing in the debate that Biden hedged his bets on was the question of would he add 2 new justices to the Supreme Court or 3 in order to
Good.
level it out. And he didn't answer that. He kind of hedged that.
At least he didn't rule it out.
Well, I think the answer I was waiting for him to give was, I'm not president of the United States and I can't do it, and when the time comes, I'll make that decision. Right now, it doesn't look like the right idea, but it may be the right idea down the line.
I thought
Yeah.
I heard him say repeatedly, especially with that. I thought I heard him say something to the effect of the Democrats in the House and in the Senate, what they want is not always aligned with what I want to do if I am elected president. And I thought he kind of gave that non-answer politician
Look.
response regarding court packing.
Let me say this about Biden. He's not my idea of the kind of guy I would want to vote for. Okay? I would, for instance, I would vote for Cuomo in a heartbeat. How about you, Jeff? Same thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty much.
yeah. And I would be enthusiastic about him. I'd be going door to door, knocking on doors. All right.
I got to ask this question of you, Alex. And not to delineate from the debate, but what did you like about Cuomo over 3 years ago or whatever? His competitor, Cynthia Nixon, was it?
Yes. Cynthia Nixon was an amateur. Cynthia Nixon really, I don't think was, she should have taken some other office first, okay? But she didn't even come close, okay? She didn't even come close to winning. It wasn't like she was breathing down Cuomo's neck and, no. In fact, she didn't even make it to the final cut, did she? No. So, Cynthia Nixon, we already got one TV star. All right, do we want another one? Especially with the same amount of experience? No. So that's my take.
We'll see. If Trump does win re-election, either whatever gains he pulls out of his ass to win re-election, I'll be thinking to myself, well, maybe we need someone from the left who's just as much of a bomb thrower verbally as Trump is. If he wins re-election. If he doesn't, then your opinion has a lot more validity than.
Well,
but we'll see. We'll see.
I don't know that Cuomo wants to run for president. His father, for instance, everybody wanted his father to run because his father was just a great speaker. All right, and orator, and they didn't go for that. So, he didn't want to run. And I think that there's something in the Cuomo family that doesn't want to run for president. Cuomo, for instance, he's having a nightmare as governor, all right? But he's also having a great time as governor.
Well, we've had an African American as president with Barack Obama. Have we ever had an Italian, someone of
I'm trying to think. Have we ever had an Italian as president? I wish Josh were here. He probably would have the goods on that. I don't think so.
I want to say no, but I don't know.
I-
Someone like Josh would know the answer.
Yeah, I would say no too. There's never been a Jewish president, that I know.
Never had that.
We could have had one with Joseph Lieberman, but that wasn't going
Yeah.
Had an Irish president with Kennedy.
Yeah, we had an Irish president and a Catholic. The big thing against Kennedy when he was running was, no, America will never elect a Catholic. And, you know, and with Obama, they said America will never, you know, elect a black man. But look what happened. They did. So, you know, I mean.
We may very well have a black female in 2 years.
We could. We could.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I think that the you know, the notion of, oh, gee, we got to have a woman as president, you know, I don't know that whoever is president is necessarily a big deal, especially now. Look at how Trump has devalued that job.
I don't give a shit who the president is, as long as the policies that I like, at least by and large, get passed.
All I care about with the president at this point is I want one who's going to save my life, you know, and not threaten it. And this president threatens it. I mean, today I take a Lyft for $35 to get me to my dentist. Then coming home, I always take a bus. And luckily today, I was afraid to take the bus because the rate of infection has gone up in the state of New York. Not by much, but enough. And it's not, and it's not in my neighborhood or in Manhattan. It's these, may I say this, yids out in Brooklyn. These Orthodox Jews who refuse to wear masks, who are, you know, who then get together.
They wear a mask.
Huh?
It's on their head.
It's on their head, yeah, right. They don't wear a mask, and then they go. They had Rosh Hashanah. That's got to be the biggest petri dish, you know. They have the prayer for the dead at Rosh Hashanah, which is very interesting, because the prayer for the dead could be probably recited to people who are in that room getting infected and are going to be dead as a result of it. You know, but out in Brooklyn, out in that part of Brooklyn, the rate just went sky high.
You said something, though, Alex, that made me think, activated memory here when I was watching the debates. Biden used that word, dog whistling, against Trump. And, yeah, he's definitely used dog whistling many times. But I was sitting there thinking, I'm going to ask you the question, I'm going to ask the panel the question. What's the difference between a politician who uses dog whistling in their dialogues or their debates and a stochastic terrorist? What's the difference between the two?
Say that again.
What's the difference between, in other words, what's the difference between a dog whistler and a stochastic terrorist?
I don't know what you mean by dog whistler.
Someone who uses certain groups in the inner city, meaning, but they'll say that or Trump will say something like that when he really means black guys and black people.
Okay, and what's the other term? What's the other term you were using?
Stochastic terrorist.
What is a stochastic terrorist? You're coming up.
I'm just wondering what the difference is between the two. How they're not one and the same.
I don't know one from the other.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about, Brian.
Well, stochastic terrorist, from what I understand, is someone who makes subtle remarks, say on a radio broadcast, that could influence a listener base to commit acts of terrorism, to commit acts of vandalism, rioting, so on and so forth. They themselves aren't responsible for it, but their rhetoric somehow. And someone who uses dog whistling, or maybe they just go in.
Well, I mean, it's people who go out and
it was a stray thought I had in my head.
Yeah, I don't know, but you came up with terms that I just, dog whistle, statistic, whatever you called it. I can't remember that. I never heard.
There's a meme on Facebook that defines it too. Stochastic terrorist.
Oh, okay. Well, if there's a meme on Facebook, it must be right.
Yeah, but I didn't hear it there first.
Yeah.
I heard it from the Tom Hartman program.
Oh, good old Tom Hartman.
Yeah.
I think this stochastic terrorist is one who uses subtle implications to stir up violence.
Are you going
Whereas the dog whistler may not be exactly trying to get their people to get violent. They just want to get their people to.
I was thinking about Tom Hartman the other day, by the way, because Tom Hartman is the biggest asshole I can name.
Yeah, it doesn't seem very genuine.
No, here's what he did. He was in the employ of RT Television. Do you know who RT was?
I do, and I consider them just as viable as
Go watch
MSNBC.
Agents of Chaos. You'll find out what RT was. You know, he was working for the Russians. He was working for Russian propaganda.
It's funded in part by the Russian government. But,
no, not funded in part. It
was
was run by the Russian government. The woman who was running it is on this documentary, in fact, on HBO, talking about her time at RT.
And like I said before in a previous program, I don't see how that's any worse than, our media outlets being run by the likes of Goldman Sachs and Lockheed Martin.
The difference is they're American, not a foreign government.
Well, they're American assholes versus
No.
government.
You're trying to make your argument by going in a different direction. They may be American assholes, but they're Americans. They're not Russian assholes. Okay. And RT was run and operated by the Russians. It wasn't that they weren't. It wasn't like they were supporting it. They owned it.
Yeah. No one should ever listen to one media source. I'll give you that much.
Is anybody else going to call tonight, or is everybody just completely trumped out or something?
They're exhausted.
Huh? Because
exhausted.
In which case, I
blame them.
I may close this thing down early, just because what the hell? Why not?
Yeah, Jack Bishop may not have anybody on his program after this one, considering how dead it is.
Yeah. Yes, Jeff.
One thing I noticed, there was some discussions about California and all the trees that were on fire. And Trump was all complaining about it. And Pam told me, she goes, most of those trees are owned by the government.
Federal government land?
The U.S. government.
It's government land, yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I just watched the guy, and I was just so happy to hear somebody says the Ramble audio feed died. No, it didn't die. I'm sorry, it's still going out. In fact, let me just check. I have a way of checking here without having to. Let me see here. Let me go here. Somebody just said that, the audio feed is out. Is it out? It is out. Well, I don't know what happened to the audio feed because it should be going out, but it isn't. And there's a problem with it. Huh?
You didn't put your quarter in today.
I didn't put my quarter in today. That's right.
All I know is we're in trouble regardless. I feel like whoever wins, I lose.
Yeah. I have no idea why it wouldn't be working. Maybe that's every reason not to be doing the show tonight. Here comes Tony. Okay. Let me admit him. Let me see here. Why is it? Well, there it is. It's working again now.
I was going to say.
Yeah, it's working now. It wasn't working for a couple of minutes there. But I'm glad I didn't stop it here because then it won't stop the recording. But yes, we were down for a few moments there, and now we're on. See, folks, I'll prove to you we're on. Maybe that's every reason not to be doing the show. See? Okay, there we go. Okay, so it's all right. Okay. Anyway, hello, Tony. Did you watch the debate?
Unfortunately, yes.
You did.
He's a bully. It was typical. It was typical Trump.
Yeah, I mean, what did you think? What was your takeaway?
I wish they would have killed his mic because when they have 2 minutes of rebuttal, his whole mantra going in was, you saw Trump, whenever Biden spoke to try to answer for his 2 minutes, he would just over-talk him. I mean,
Yeah.
Trump reeked the desperation to me. I'm watching like some people
Yes,
saying like, oh,
Yeah.
he's playing to his base, but
What
I
is his
mean,
base? A bunch of
what
rude people? I mean, what is his base?
I I'm going to tell you something. One thing I didn't like what Chris Wallace did is it's like couldn't they have killed his mic and say, listen, enough already. He's
No,
not
you know why they
listening.
couldn't, Tony? I'll tell you why. Because then people would really gripe that the fix was in. They killed the president's mic. They wouldn't let him talk.
would have been funny, but you're right, Alex. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, that's why they won't do it. I'm surprised that Chris Wallace got as in Trump's face as he did about his interruptions.
Yeah,
Because
he's like, are you ever going to listen? I mean, you're
yeah,
never
no, but
gonna
he
talk.
at one point Trump said, "Why is it you're telling me to be quiet?" He said, "Because you've been the only one doing any interrupting."
Trump is projecting, saying that Biden was interrupting him more than he was interrupting
Mm.
Biden. Bullshit. I
Yeah,
heard it with
yeah.
my own 2 ears. I saw it with my own 2 eyes.
Jeff,
That's
Did
the one
they
thing.
have an agreement not to stop things, not to turn the sound off?
They probably
know.
did.
I
I
probably think that it was agreed to leave it on.
well,
Imagine
I don't think
president.
anybody's considered that they've had a need to do that.
Yeah,
Oh,
you would think an adult can control
You know,
himself.
yeah. In this case, there was a reason, and if I were to do another debate, which they're going to do, I would say if the president, if either of you start interrupting the other, we're going to cut your mic,
Yep, I would.
okay? And maybe that'll stop it.
Like you said, Alex, would that not feed into the conspiratorial notion that the fix is in and the media has it? Blah blah
Well,
blah.
I don't know what Trump is writing now on. Let's go over to let's
God,
go over
you
to
go to
let's go to
Twitter.
Twitter here, and I will let's search for the real Donald Trump.
Probably told her
Donald-
great job.
Real Donald Glover, the
And blow the acronym.
real Donald Trump. Let's see here, Donald J. Trump. I don't follow him, but let's see what he has to say. Regardless of who you were, oh no, this is somebody else. Never seen this before. Cash for ballot. Let me see here, Donald Trump. I don't think this is necessarily him, however.
Yeah, because you know what? I was watching him during the debate to Twitter. I mean, they were twittering. Somebody must work his account because he was been twittering while he was debating. So that proves that he's not telling them what to write.
Yeah, the real Donald Trump. Well, that should be it, right? Yeah, I'm trying to just see what he might have said or not said. But
Trump did have one advantage over Biden, though.
what advantage was that?
He took Biden to the cleaners, in my humble though biased opinion. He took Biden to the cleaners concerning his record in the incarceration bill that he wrote in the early '90s. It was the chink in Biden's armor
Yeah.
that he exploited.
Okay,
He got on the-
let's give him that. Does that mean he won the debate?
No,
No. Okay, so listen.
I said
I
I'm
got
giving
to
him
tell you,
credit. I didn't say won the debate.
Biden has been in public service how many years now?
47 years. Apparently.
47 years. In those 47 years, especially when the mentality of this country has changed over that time, you're bound to have made a lot of mistakes. I mean, he's got, yes, they can go after his record, but, he's got a record. What record does Donald Trump has? He was on TV.
Nope.
Trump is making his own record right now, and it's a pretty flimsy one.
Trump could also say 2 words that may tip the election further in his favor. In context of those 47 years that Biden served, which is about like 3 or 4 terms, too long, and
Yeah.
hint term limits. And I have a piece of legislation that I can show to on my website as to how I will get that done.
Yeah.
And people will
Trump
flock.
doesn't want term limits. In fact, he doesn't like the limits on the president's term.
That's why he won't. He won't. But he could have I'm saying he could have the election turned tilted.
Well,
in his
no,
favor.
if he went for term limits, he'd be cutting the throat of his own party.
Yeah.
Mhm. The duopoly.
Right? They don't want him going after that. So, But I wonder what Drudge is saying about it. Drudge is always different. He had, he's not a big Trump fan anymore. So let's see. Let's go to Drudge Report. Okay.
What the talking points are from the right again.
It says here, his headline is "Debate Circus," and the word "debate" is crossed out. Will you shut up, man? Oldest candidates in history.
He's not entirely wrong there.
Yep. Chaos reigns in hell debate. Wolf Blitzer, I wouldn't be surprised if this was the last one. Insult to circus workers, say circus workers. Biden, under this president, we've become weaker, sicker, poorer, more divided, and more violent. So, and then a review here supposedly says Chris Wallace loses all control.
But remember, Trump is an end result. He's a symptom, not the cause.
Well, yes, we could say that. But here's that so people can see it. This is the. Let me see here. Let me bring it up here. There we go. There you go. That's the headline in Drudge. So, and it was a circus. There's no question about it. Somebody says Trump venerates Teddy Roosevelt, but Roosevelt would have hated Trump. So anyway.
Oh, undoubtedly.
Yeah. So
well, both Roosevelts, Franklin and Theodore.
Yeah.
I'm sure they meant Theodore.
Yeah. Yep. So let me see here. What else? Let me just go here so I can see how we're doing. Okay. If more people don't call tonight, I think I'm going to call this a wrap at 11:30. I'm doing this with having a implant put in my mouth today. That's
How
what.
How do you feel about that? How's it?
It's feeling okay. It's not. I'm on antibiotics. He gave me some antibiotics to take just to
How long will you be on those?
just to be on the safe side.
How long does he want you on those?
Probably. I don't know. I have enough for a week, but I don't think I need that. I think all I need is enough to keep the immediate infection away. I go back in 2 weeks, and he takes the stitches out. And then I sit here and wait for it to get better. Anyway, was there any part of this debate you felt made you feel better about Biden or better about Trump? I can't see anything that would make you feel better about Trump.
I can say that. I liked how Biden handled himself.
Yeah, I give him credit there.
You think he handled himself well?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Did you feel it was unpresidential or wrong of him to tell Trump to shut up?
Well,
Or to refer to him as a clown?
I think it's appropriate.
yeah.
I think he's saying I think he's saying everything we've wanted to say.
Yeah.
If we had Trump in a room, we'd probably say shut up.
She's driving me crazy. She's driving me nuts.
There was a person, as I said, there was a person that used to call this show,
Yeah.
and tonight Trump reminded me of him because he was in a square, right?
Yeah.
And he was, all the things that person would do, he was imitating Trump.
Actually, you're right. He did a good job of portraying him. Imagine Phil had a dead-on persona.
Well, we're not saying names here.
Oh,
Because the person doesn't call the person doesn't
we cannot say.
person doesn't call the show anymore. People say, "Have you talked to him since?" And the answer is, "I haven't heard a word from him."
Okay.
Yeah. So,
He did have him nailed pretty good, Phil. I mean, all right.
I'm not saying anymore.
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Well,
Did you hear-
what I do miss is I wish that there were, there was a right winger on here. That's why whenever Patrick calls, I'm happy, because at
I
least it
haven't
brings,
heard from him in a while. I wish you would.
yeah, it brings balance to the show.
I think is he a Republican or is he like a conservative independent?
I think he considers himself a conservative.
Yeah.
But is he an independent? Like I'm going to be after this election?
No,
Yeah, I'm independent,
he's a independent to this point that I think that last time he didn't vote for Trump, but he didn't vote for Hillary either. Okay, so he probably voted for a third party candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Which I just don't see how that really plays.
Your colleague Jack Bishop, though, said it best. I didn't think of it until he brought it up. He said you really shouldn't call these other political parties third parties. I should call them alternate parties.
Well, I think what we do is
there's more than one.
We make it difficult for a third party to be effective. Okay, because we put them in a position where they can't really. You know what I'm saying? They can't really grab hold. Number one, when they have debates, where do they put them? They have their own special debate for the third-party candidates, for the alternate candidates. The debates basically are only for the two parties.
Yeah.
Well, who suddenly said they should be respected any more than these alternate parties as well? Just because they don't have as many people doesn't mean you shouldn't respect them as part of the process. Yes, Jeff.
And the guy who ran for Texas as an independent, that he was he was negotiating with the other two, the Democrat and the Republican,
Ross
and
Perot.
him.
Yeah.
Ross Perot, that's the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, let me see. You had your hand up, Jeff?
No, that was it.
Oh.
Ross Perot.
Oh, the Ross Perot thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other candidate I can think of that was as effective on a state level, though, as effective, and I think he was part of the same political party, the Reform Party, Jesse Ventura of Minnesota.
And what about Jesse?
That he had the charisma and the star power to like commandeer even though it was from within the state, the governor's mansion of
yeah, but
Minnesota.
he turned out to be just a horrible governor. And and I like Jesse. I mean, I know Jesse, and I like him, but he won one term, and I think he got beaten in the second term. He couldn't go for a second term because he screwed up too badly.
I think he committed a gaffe. I don't know if this is true or not. It was from English teacher I had in my senior year of high school, where he made a remark that religion is for the weak and feeble-minded, and that may have been what was his undoing, his unraveling.
Well, I don't remember that. I just remember that he was a shitty governor. It's funny that two people who were in movies together, two people who were in Predator, both became governors.
Yeah.
Jesse Ventura and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold did get 2 terms. So
Did
Arnold,
Reagan get a second term? I mean, did Schwarzenegger get a second term? He did.
I don't know.
I'm willing to bet on that.
Wait a minute.
He was elected
Hold
in
on a second.
2003.
I will ask the person who knows the most on this, and it isn't Josh. Echo, how many terms did Arnold Schwarzenegger serve as governor of California?
Here's something I found from the article Political Career of Arnold Schwarzenegger on Wikipedia. In the first year of his first term as governor, Schwarzenegger proposed deep cuts in the state budget and was met with opposition.
But it doesn't say anything.
First year, first term.
Echo, how many terms did Arnold Schwarzenegger serve? Let's see if that.
This might answer your question.
Here we go.
Arnold Schwarzenegger served as governor of California for 7 years and 1 month between November 17th,
Okay, so he would have had to
2003
get
and January
reelected a
3rd,
second
2011.
time. So he got reelected a second time.
Succeeded by Jerry Brown,
Yes. Yes.
who was then succeeded, of course, by Gavin Newsom, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Gavin Newsom's kind of a disappointment for me.
Is he really?
Yeah. I think he, you know, he just, I question his ability.
I had to
at
give him mad props though when he was the mayor of San Francisco
Oh, yeah.
back in the early 2000s.
Well, nobody ever gives him credit for the fact that he was the. Oh, something's wrong here. Okay, I'll figure it out in a second. That he had a certain problem, that he was the first guy to come along and say, let's let gay marriage happen here. And that was pretty cool. That was
And he
pretty
defied,
cool.
if I'm not mistaken, he defied the Bush administration. He defied, like, at the time where you couldn't have gay people married, and he
yeah.
would allow them to have civil unions and whatnot
Yeah.
in San Francisco.
Yeah. So I mean, he was the reason why he was the first. In other words, nobody thought of the concept of, let's say, same-sex marriage. Okay, anywhere in the United States, he was the first guy to make it a law in his city, and that started the ball rolling everywhere else in the country. But to this day, nobody really gives him credit for that.
Was that even before, like, Vermont and
Yep.
and
Yep.
Massachusetts?
No, the
Yep.
very first. The very
Okay.
first. Yeah.
Cool.
You know, I've often said, I said it earlier as a joke on this show, but people always used to ask me, how do you feel about gay marriage? I said, I'm against it, but then again, I'm against straight marriage too.
They have the
You
right
know,
to be
why?
miserable, too, of them.
Yeah, why should I want somebody to be as miserable as I've been? You know, this idea that marriage is the end all. The only thing is that there are rights you gain by being married and being a married couple that you don't enjoy separately in this country. And so that's the reason why I believed in gay marriage. You know.
And there has to be an acknowledgement of some kind of union of some sort, especially as it pertains to children and custody, here battles and.
Well, when it comes to
property
taxes, you used to be able to, if you were a single person, you got taxed at a higher rate than if you were a couple.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, there
I'm
was
all in favor of flat tax myself.
there
personally.
was discrimination there. Today, I just filed with the EEOC, the Equal Opportunity Employment Commission, complaining that my union has taken away our medical care. And a lot of members of my union are doing the same thing so that this union can be up to their ass in litigation.
Class action.
No, it's not a class action. It's individual people. They just asked everybody to go online and just file with the EEOC.
All right.
And then we'll wait.
Good luck.
Maybe get a call from them and tell them, hey, you know, it was taken away from me. So anyway, let me see here. Well, you know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to call this to a close tonight. This is it's kind of slow. The only reason I did it tonight was because I felt people would want to talk about this in great numbers, but apparently I was
To our
wrong.
credit, we did.
Huh?
And to our credit, the 1, 2, 3, 5 of us did.
Yeah, well, yeah, 4 of you have called. I appreciate it. And I don't know what's going to come on right after us because, you know. But I want to thank you all for calling me this evening. Let me just start the theme rolling here.
No
I don't know how
problem.
to do this unless I do it at the right time. There we go. Okay, there we go. There's the theme. Hey, thank you, Charlie. Appreciate it tonight. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you to Brian Ludwig, and thank you to Tony as well for joining us. If all of you would give me a big wave goodbye, I'll give you a wave goodbye back, okay? Sorry we're bringing this to a close early, but you know, we had a nice little discussion here, and we said what we had to say, and then we lost it. No more, okay? So I'm sorry we had to bring it to a close, but tomorrow night we'll do it for the full amount of time, and hope that people have a tendency to want to call. In the meantime, I'm Alex Bennett. That's it for tonight. I'll see you again tomorrow night. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, by the way, there's a sports show before us, the Franchise MC tomorrow night. Then we'll be here 10:30 Eastern Daylight Time, same station in life. And if you see her, tell her that I love her a lot, okay? And by the way, stay safe out there. And please, don't listen to our president. Wear a mask.